I'm back. I'm going to pick up in Genesis 25. Before I move on, I want to mention this now instead of scattering it around because it comes up, but it's scattered. So I thought I'd go down this list here of things that symbolize this. Another thing about Rebecca, actually, I didn't think of it in this way because she is, a relative, but at the same time, she is a Gentile bride. Okay, now they were this is what people don't understand. They were all Gentiles. Abraham was a Gentile when he was called. Noah was a Gentile, I mean, there's this thing about the line of Shem, but they were still Gentiles. I mean, little by little, God came in and started introducing a little more covenant stuff here and a little more there. But when they were called, they were totally Gentiles, okay? So Rebecca fits that description. And now she's not the only one. We have this one named Joseph's bride. Okay, she was a Gentile bride in Egypt, and her name was Asenath. Then Moses' bride was a Gentile bride, and her name was Keturah. And here's another Keturah. This is a different one. Then we have Rahab, another Gentile bride, and she's the one who receives the two spies when they go into Jericho, and she marries somebody, one of those mighty ones that were in the army. I don't remember which one, but anyways, that's another case. Ruth is another case of a Gentile bride. And a lot of these are in the line of Jesus. Rahab is, Ruth is. So, they're in the line. And so there may have been more. I'll mention it as we go along, but I wanted to mention that. So, okay, now, so the Gentile bride is a symbol, okay, of the church. Okay, now, let me make sure that's later. Okay, so I'm just going to read on here. 25. Abraham, again, took a wife. So I guess he wasn't that old, right? Took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bore him. So he had more kids later, okay? So there was Ishmael, and then there was Isaac. And Isaac was looked at as his only son. Then later, so at the time, that was it. Later, he had more kids. So anyway, and she bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan begot Sheba and Dedan. These are all what, the nations come after, and they get these names. And the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, Letushim, and Lumim. And the sons of Midian were Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and Eldah. All these were the children of Keturah. Well, anyway, and Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. Okay, so that's interesting. But Abraham gave gifts to the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, and while he was still living, he sent them eastward, away from Isaac his son, to the country of the east. So he just wanted to keep Isaac isolated. Okay, so he knew, well, God promised through Isaac, so I guess he wanted to keep that a certain way, separate. Okay, this is the sum of the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 175 years. Then Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. See, so after you died, back then, you were gathered to your people. And that's where we get the Abraham's bosom thing, after death. It wasn't heaven yet. It was something else. Okay. And that's not there anymore. So this isn't any kind of, thing that otherwise. Okay. And his sons, Isaac and Ishmael, buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass, after the death of Abraham, that God blessed his son Isaac. And Isaac dwelt at Beer Lahairoi. Okay, all right. I'll just read it. Now, this is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar, the Egyptian, Sarah's maidservant, bore to Abraham. And these were the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajoth, then Kedar, Abdil, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Masa, Hadar, Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedemah. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were their names, by their towns and their settlements, 12 princes, according to their nations. These were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. And he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people. They dwelt from Havilah as far as Shur, which is east of Egypt, as you go toward Assyria. He died in the presence of all his brethren. This is the genealogy of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah as wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban, the Syrian. Now Isaac pleaded with the Lord for his wife, because she was barren, and the Lord granted his plea, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. But the children struggled together within her, and she said, "If all is well, why am I like this?" So she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, two peoples shall be separated from your body." So she had the twin boys, and I'll get to that symbolism shortly. One people shall be stronger than the other, and the other shall serve the younger. So when her days were fulfilled for her to give birth, indeed there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red. He was like a hairy garment all over, so they called his name Esau, which means hairy. Afterward, his brother came out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, so his name was called Jacob, which means supplanter. And what that means is kind of a usurper. Like he grabbed his heel, okay, and like he ends up replacing him, basically, because he was the firstborn and he came next, but Jacob gets blessed as the firstborn, and that all happens as we go along. Anyway, Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. So another older age birth here. So the boys grew, and Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, but Jacob was a mild man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Okay, now Jacob cooked a stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was weary. And Esau said to Jacob, "Please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary." Therefore his name was called Edom, which here it means red, I guess because the stew was red. So this is where, this is where the Edomites come from. I forgot that. They come from Esau. All right, so these are all nations around Israel that later give them trouble. It was the Amorites and the Moabites that came from Lot and the daughters, and so all these Edomites, they all give them trouble later. So anyway, but Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright as of this day." And Esau said, "Look, I am about to die. So what is this birthright to me?" Then Jacob said, "Swear to me as of this day." So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and stew of lentils. Then he ate and drank, arose, and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Okay, now, and they mention this a lot. Now, before I go on with the Jacob and Esau thing, in this case, we have what this is. The Jacob and Esau thing it represents the battle, the struggle, and the wrestling between the spirit and the flesh. Okay, it's like they're twins, so it's like in one compartment they're struggling with each other. Jacob represents the Holy Spirit, and I mentioned that whole Trinity thing earlier. So he represents the Holy Spirit. Esau represents the flesh. So as Christians, there's that battle that goes on between the spirit and the flesh. Like it's supposed to be the spirit takes over, but there are moments, right? So it's the new nature and the old nature are battling. They're still battling, and until we die and go to heaven, that battle, we get sanctification process takes over. So it gets better and easier, but there's always that little potential, so you got to watch that. But that's what this represents. The battle that way between the spirit and the flesh, as believers, as Christians. So that's the Jacob and the Esau thing, and it mentions that in the New Testament, that struggle. Okay, now there are many times as we go on in this history part where they struggle in a different way. So that is what that symbolizes. So just I'm mentioning it now. Okay, now he sells his birthright for food. Okay, there's another sign of the flesh. So you can tell Esau is very carnal, and Jacob is the other way, All right. Okay, Isaac and Abimelech. There, 26. There was a famine in the land besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, in Gerar. Then the Lord appeared to him and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land of which I shall tell you. Dwell in this land, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands, and I will perform the oath which I swore to Abraham your father." And I will make your descendants multiply as the stars of heaven. I will give to your descendants all these lands, and in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. So Isaac dwelt in Gerar, and the men of the place asked about his wife. And he said, she is my sister. So here we go again, for he was afraid to say she is my wife, because he thought, lest the men of the place kill me for Rebekah, because she is beautiful to behold. Now it came to pass, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked through a window and saw, and there was Isaac showing endearment to Rebekah, his wife. Some translations had read affection. Then Abimelech, so he figured this out. Then Abimelech called Isaac and said, quite obviously, she is your wife. So how could you say she is my sister? Isaac said to him, because I said, lest I die on account of her. So this seems to run in the family. And Abimelech said, what is this you have done to us? One of the people might soon have lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt on us. So Abimelech charged all his people, saying, he who touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. Then Isaac sowed in that land, and reaped in the same year 100-fold, and the Lord blessed him. The man began to prosper, and continued prospering until he became very prosperous, for he had possessions of flocks and possessions of herds, and a great number of servants. So the Philistines envied him. Now the Philistines had stopped up all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham his father, and they had filled them with earth. And Abimelech said to Isaac, go away from us, for you are much mightier than we. Then Isaac departed from there and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar, and dwelt there. And Isaac dug again the wells of water which they had dug in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham. He called them by the names which his father had called them. Also Isaac's servants dug in the valley, and found a well of running water there. But the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, the water is ours. So he called the name of the well Esek, because they quarreled with him. It means quarrel. Yeah, I know, surprise. Okay, then they dug another well, and they quarreled over that one also. So he called its name Sidna, which means enmity, strife. Okay. And he moved from there and dug another well, and they did not quarrel over it. So he called its name Rehoboth, which means spaciousness, because he said, for now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. Then he went up from there to Beersheba, and the Lord appeared to him the same night, and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendants for my servant Abraham's sake. So he built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord, and he pitched his tent there, and there Isaac's servants dug a well. Then Abimelech came to him from Gerar with Ahuzath, one of his friends, and Phichol, the commander of his army. And Isaac said to them, "Why have you come to me, since you hate me and have sent me away from you?" But they said, "We have certainly seen that the Lord is with you." So we said, "Let there now be an oath between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you will do us no harm, since we have not touched you, and since we have done nothing to you but good, and have sent you away in peace. You are now the blessed of the Lord." So he made them a feast, and they ate and drank. Then they arose early in the morning and swore an oath with one another. And Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. It came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him about the well which they had dug, and said to him, "We have found water." So he called it Sheba. Therefore, the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. Okay, so, well of the oath. A is literally oath, and the other one be well of the oath or well of the seven, because this one is oath or seven for A. So, anyway, when Esau was 40 years old, he took as wives Judith, the daughter of Beeri, the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite. And they were a grief of mind to Isaac and Rebekah. Okay, so Esau takes, there must have been, locals in Canaan, and they were thorn in the flesh to Isaac and Rebekah. Okay, so there's this. I'm going to get to this more notes in a bit. I just want to get somewhere first. So 27. Now, it came to pass when Isaac was old, and his eyes were so dim that he could not see, that he called Esau, his brother, his older son, and said to him, "My son." And he answered him, "Here I am." Okay, now we get this intrigue. Then he said, "Behold, now I am old. I do not know the day of my death. Now, therefore, please take your weapons, your quiver, and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me, and make me savory food, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless you before I die." This is their custom, they would do this. Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac spoke to Esau his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt game and to bring it. So Rebekah spoke to Jacob her son, saying, "Indeed, I heard your father speak to Esau your brother, saying, 'Bring me game and make savory food for me, that I may eat it and bless you in the presence of the Lord before my death. Now, therefore, my son, obey my voice according to what I command you. Go now to the flock and bring me from there 2 choice kids of the goats, and I will make savory food from them for your father, such as he loves. Then you shall take it to your father, that he may eat it, and that he may bless you before his death." And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, "Look, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth-skinned man. Perhaps my father will feel me, and I shall seem to be a deceiver to him, and I shall bring a curse on myself and not a blessing." But his mother said to him, "Let your curse be on me, my son. Only obey my voice, and go get them for me." And he went and got them and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory food, such as his father loved. Then Rebekah took the choice clothes of her elder son Esau which were with her in the house, and put them on Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats on his hands and on the smooth part of his neck. Then she gave the savory food and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. So he went to his father and said, "My father." And he said, "Here I am. Who are you, my son?" So Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done just as you told me. Please arise, sit, and eat of my game, that your soul may bless me." But Isaac said to his son, "How is it that you have found it so quickly, my son?" And he said, "Because the Lord your God brought it to me." Isaac said to Jacob, "Please come near, that I may feel you, my son, whether you are really my son Esau or not." So Jacob went near to Isaac his father, and he felt him and said, "The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau." And he did not recognize him, because his hands were hairy like his brother Esau's hands, so he blessed him. Then he said, "Are you really my son Esau?" He said, "I am." He said, "Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's game, so that my soul may bless you." So he brought it near to him, and he ate, and he brought him wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come near now and kiss me, my son." And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his clothing, and he blessed him and said, see, he was really checking, the smell of the clothes, of the feel of the skin, just the voice was a little giving him away. "Surely the smell of my son is like the smell of a field, which the Lord has blessed. Therefore, may God give you of the dew of heaven, of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be master over your brethren, and let your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be those who bless you." Okay, so this is a done deal. Like, he can't now, the blessing went to Jacob. So here now, watch this. Okay, now, this is still not right. Now, it happened. As soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had scarcely gone out from the presence of Isaac, his father, that Esau, his brother, came in from his hunting. He also had made savory food and brought it to his father, and said to his father, "Let my father arise and eat of his son's game, that your soul may bless me." And his father Isaac said to him, "Who are you?" So he said, "I am your son, your firstborn Esau." Then Isaac trembled exceedingly and said, "Who? Where is the one who hunted game and brought it to me? I ate all of it before you came, and I have blessed him, and indeed he shall be blessed." When Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, "Bless me, me also, O my father." But he said, "Your brother came with deceit and has taken away your blessing. And I mean, you gotta say, well, look, he sold his birthright to Jacob, so it actually is fair, that this was God's plan anyway. That's how it worked out. But Isaac wasn't so aware of this plan, but that's okay. Anyway, so, and Esau said, is he not rightly named Jacob? Which means, supplanter, usurper, like he took it from him. For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright. Well, birthright and blessing. Okay, birthright. And now look, he has taken away my blessing. And he said, have you not reserved a blessing for me? Then Isaac answered and said to Esau, indeed, I have made him your master. See, he wanted Jacob to be the servant of Esau because he favored Esau. But God had other plans. So Esau became the servant of Jacob. And, that's the way this was done. And that's it. It's over. It's done. And you can't have it both ways. He couldn't undo it now. And that's it. Now Esau would be the servant of Jacob, and it was too late. He can't change it around the opposite now. So, indeed, I have made him your master, and all his brethren I have given to him as servants. With grain and wine I have sustained him. What shall I do now for you, my son? And Esau said to his father, have you only one blessing, my father? Bless me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Then Isaac his father answered and said to him, behold, your dwelling shall be of the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother, and it shall come to pass, when you become restless, that you shall break his yoke from your neck. Okay, now, so Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing with which his father blessed him, and Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will kill my brother Jacob. So this was his plan, After the words of Esau, her older son, were told to Rebekah. And the words of Esau, her older son, were told to Rebekah. So she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said to him, surely your brother Esau comforts himself concerning you by intending to kill you. Now, therefore, my son, obey my voice. Arise, flee to my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him a few days until your brother's fury turns away, until your brother's anger turns away from you, and he forgets what you have done to him. Then I will send and bring you from there. Why should I be bereaved also of you both in one day? So Isaac was getting close to death, but, that's all we're told. And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob takes a wife of the daughters of Heth, like these who are the daughters of the land, what good will my life be to me? 28. Then Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said to him, you shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel your mother's father, and take yourself a wife from there of the daughters of Laban your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you may be an assembly of peoples, and give you the blessing of Abraham to you and your descendants with you, that you may inherit the land in which you are a stranger, which God gave to Abraham. So Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Padan Aram, to Laban, the son of Bethuel the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. Okay, now Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take himself a wife from there, and that as he blessed him, he gave him a charge, saying, "You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan," and that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother and had gone to Padan Aram. Also Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan did not please his father Isaac. So Esau went to Ishmael and took Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebajoth, to be his wife, in addition to the wives he had. I don't think that's going to help very much. But anyway, moving along. Okay, now Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. So he came to a certain place and stayed there all night, because the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of that place and put it at his head, and he lay down in that place to sleep. Then he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was set up on the earth, and its top reached to heaven, and there the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. I mean, you know what, later it hit me like this sounds like that ladder that's like the DNA chain, and he, was in that line. It's the royal line of the Messiah. So anyway, it's just interesting. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, "I am the Lord God of Abraham your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie I will give to you and your descendants. Also your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread abroad to the west and the east, to the north and the south. And in you and in your seed all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Behold, I am with you and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have spoken to you." Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." And he was afraid and said, "How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven." Then Jacob rose early in the morning and took the stone that he had put at his head, set it up as a pillar, and poured oil on top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel, and that means house of God. But the name of that city had been Luz previously. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, "If God will be with me and keep me in this way that I am going, and give me bread to eat and clothing to put on, so that I come back to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God. And this stone which I have set as a pillar shall be God's house, and of all that you give me I will surely give a tenth to you." Okay, so anyway, this is in there. Now 29. And again, all the things that come up, like circumcision or whatever. I mean, it's all the old covenant. As Christians, we're under the new covenant, so we don't have to worry about any of those things. Okay, read the New Testament, it's all explained in there. I'm not going over all that every time again, but that's the deal. So, okay, 29. So Jacob went on his journey and came to the land of the people of the east. And he looked and saw a well in the field. And behold, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it, for out of that well they watered the flocks. A large stone was on the well's mouth. Now all the flocks would be gathered there, and they would roll the stone from the well's mouth, water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place on the well's mouth. And Jacob said to them, My brethren, where are you from? And they said, We are from Haran. Then he said to them, Do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. So he said to them, Is he well? And they said, He is well. And look, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep. Then he said, Look, it is still high day. It is not time for the cattle to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go and feed them. But they said, We cannot until all the flocks are gathered together and they have rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep. Now, while he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. And it came to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's relative and that he was Rebekah's son. So she ran and told her father. So I think he fell in love here. Then it came to pass, when Laban heard the report about Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. So he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, Surely you are my bone and my flesh. And he stayed with him for a month. Okay, now here we go. Then Laban said to Jacob, Because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what should your wages be? Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were delicate, but Rachel was beautiful of form and appearance. This delicate thing, I don't know if that means like the color was lighter or something. I just don't know. Now, Jacob loved Rachel, so he said, I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And Laban said, It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Stay with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed only a few days to him because of the love he had for her. So, wow, right? Where do you find that today? Then Jacob said to Laban, Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. Now it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to Jacob, and he went into her. And Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a maid. So it came to pass in the morning that, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, What is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I served you? Why then have you deceived me? And Laban said, It must not be done so in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give you this one also for the service which you will serve with me still another 7 years. So this is what it was, he didn't want to give Rachel before Leah, so he gave Leah, and I guess, it was dark and they wore a veil and it was over their face. Who knows? Somehow, maybe they didn't look that different. So it fooled him and he didn't know. And in the morning, he noticed it. So that's kind of funny. So what the deal was, he says, okay, like they have a week for a wedding thing, feast and a honeymoon or whatever. So after that week, he says he'll give him Rachel then as well, and I'm sure the same thing with that. And then he works again 7 years, only this time the work comes after. So this was their arrangement. Then Jacob did so and fulfilled her week. So he gave him his daughter Rachel as wife also. And Laban gave his maid Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a maid. Then Jacob also went in to Rachel, and he also loved Rachel more than Leah. And he served with Laban still another 7 years. Okay. Now, this part, so this is the deal, okay? He gets the 2 wives, and they have the 2 maids. And it goes in a similar way with what happened with Sarah and Hagar, okay? I wouldn't read all this. It's just a lot of, back and forth. What happens is, here, this part, it's just a lot of back and forth, how this happens. What happens is, this one has kids for a while and the other one gets kind of jealous. So she gives him the handmaiden, and then he, goes into her and they have kids. And then the other one gets that idea, oh, I have a maid too, I would do that too. So then they have kids. Later, the other one has kids. She has kids later, just comes up later. So all together, there end up being 12 sons that are born to Jacob, and then there's 1 daughter. So he gets these 12 sons, and this is how they become the 12 tribes of Israel, okay? And they multiply, and, that's how you get the 12 tribes. And this goes on, and I'll get to that. But let me first go here in the notes. I have all their names here. Let me make this smaller. Okay, so the names of the 12 tribes and their meanings. So here are their names. And if you want to know exactly who bore who, you just have to read that part. But anyway, here are their meanings. And there's a reason for all this. It's, the back and forth between the 2 sisters, So anyway, so Judah means praise to God. Issachar, he is my reward. Zebulun, he is my honor. Reuben, look, a son is born to me. Simeon, he is one who hears. Gad, he is my good fortune. Levi is being attached. Ephraim, fruitfulness in affliction. Manasseh, forgetfulness of my labor. Benjamin, a son of my right hand. Dan, to vindicate. Asher, he makes me happy. Naphtali, he heard my struggle. All of these point to Jesus in one way or another, okay? So it's like you could say that about him, really. They didn't know all that, they were just doing their thing. So anyway, I found that interesting, so I included that. Let me see. I have so many things here. Before I close this one out, I just want to double check. I don't forget something here. Okay, I have this, that. Okay, that comes later. There's so many, I can't help it, I just have to go through this. Did that one. Okay, there are a lot of interesting things coming on this one. Okay, yeah, I guess. Okay, yeah, that does it for today. All right, now, well, actually, let me do this. Okay, so 30. It just goes, yeah, see, 30 goes on with how they get these kids. This part, I gotta fix this. Oops. Yeah. This part is Jacob's agreement with Laban. It has to do with the flocks and who gets what, and, there's a little maneuvering going on. So, okay, then ultimately, Jacob flees from Laban. Laban pursues him. Esau comes to meet him, so he comes to meet him. There's more here I'll go over, but I'm not going to read every line, so I'll just read this and see what part I'll go over. Okay, so yeah, that's what comes up next. So that's it for that. Over here on this list here. Here we go. So in Genesis 26, we get the seed of Isaac as the promised line of the Redeemer. It's verses 2 through 5. We have Genesis 28, verse 14, that it's going to be through the seed of Jacob. So the same thing with that, okay? So I'm just going over these. By the way, in chapter 49, verse 10, it's identified as through the seed of Judah, one of the sons of Jacob. So, it's just pinpointed all the way down. But, okay, that's it. All right, I'll be back tomorrow.